Well, hello. We're back with another episode of Spill the Tea. This is an interview that I've really actually been looking forward to since this project started. I'm your host, Christy House, and I am sitting here with local author Mary Ellen Saladino. Now, Mary Ellen has been a columnist with Ocala's Good Life for quite some time.
Since 2011.
And has branched out into novelist Mary Ellen Saladino.
Sounds funny.
No, it doesn't. It sounds exciting. And that's going to be one of my questions, actually, is where was the inspiration to go from journalistic type writing to fiction?
To fiction. Well, I really didn't have any plans at all to write a novel of any kind. But one day, I used to go to this thrift shop quite often. And in this thrift shop, I saw this fountain pen. It was for sale on the shelf, reasonable price. I said, all right, I'll buy it. I get it home, and I had it for quite a while, and I didn't think much about it until one day I said, let me clean it up, because it was silver. And I'm polishing, and once I polished it, there was a name on the pen, the owner. And I thought to myself, wow, I wonder what this person's life was back, because the year was 1908. What was this person's life like in 1908? And then, bing, I got the light bulb, and I said, why don't I write a story about this? And that's how it started.
Oh, see, well, first we should say, and you can see from the stand-ups, that the name of the novel is The Love Letter Ghost. And, I feel jealous because I've read the book, so I can say that I'm wondering if the pen you got wasn't haunted.
In a way, it might have been, because it inspired me to write the story. I see where you're going with that.
Exactly.
There could have been a little paranormal activity going on there.
Exactly. Who was the ghost in the pen you found that inspired you to tell the story of the book about the ghost in the pen that Mac finds?
That's right. I never looked at it that way. But that's
generational ghosting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, yeah. He's a busy ghost, a friendly ghost. That's what I tell people. They love letter, ghost. Oh, my God. I says, no. He's not scary. He's very nice. He helps people. He's like Casper, He's a nice ghost.
Well, he has something to say, and when you think about it, I guess, or when I think about things, the idea of being able to extend your reach forward. I mean, everybody wants to be remembered by somebody.
That's right. And I guess the ghost is remembered, and even I'll be remembered, because this book, once it's out there forever. And I hope people will enjoy it for quite a long time.
Well, now I have to ask, is the name on your pen the name of the character in the book?
No. In fact, I looked up the name on the pen, and it was from a city in Massachusetts. And some of the book, does have some story set in Massachusetts. But I looked it up, and I found the Historical Society, and I asked about him. And they said, he was believe it or not, he was the local undertaker, as they called the funeral directors back then. And they said it was probably, since they didn't give away promotional items back in 1908, this probably was his personal fountain pen. But that really didn't have any bearing on the story, except for the location that I used when I tell the story of the ghost's life back in the past in 1908.
Well, I in my head am writing your short story book that you need to write, because I'm thinking of the pens that they have when people sign into weddings, the pens that they have when people sign into funerals.
All that stuff, yeah. You just gave me a good idea.
Well, my follow-through is terrible, but they say I'm inspirational to others that have the ability to follow through.
That's a good thought. That's because I already have book 2 started, and I have an idea for book 3, but that could be book 4. I don't know.
What from the perspective of the pen.
Yes. That would be the most interesting point of view ever. Yeah.
I wonder, did they save the pen that signed the Declaration of Independence?
I would think they did, but who knows? We don't know. It could have been just a quill. I mean, back then, it maybe deteriorated and who knows? But
Some poor bird,
some
some ancestral bird is
it's
somewhere
never going to
going.
get the credit it deserves.
Exactly. Well, now, so the question is this what you've always wanted to do?
No, I never in my life. If you had asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up, I had no answer for that question. I was raised to think I was just going to get married and have babies, so I never really gave it any thought of a career. But how I got started writing, I'll try and be brief. The Ocala Star-Banner had a contest for the most beautiful garden in Ocala. At the time, I was gardening. And so I said, gee, mine looks pretty good. So I took a few pictures, and I was going to send them in, but I said, I have to write some kind of captions or something to go with these pictures. So I started to write something, and when I was done, I said to myself, gee, that's not bad. So, so I elaborated, and I wrote a very nice essay called The Reluctant Gardener. And that was my first published piece in Ocala's Good Life, the April 2011 issue. I didn't win the gardening contest, but I had this piece written, and I met the editor, Dean Blinkhorn, of the Ocala's Good Life magazine at a expo on top of the world. And I introduced myself, and I said, I have this piece. He says, send it to me, and I did, and he bought it, and I've been writing for them ever since. And in 2013, I got my own column, just my type. And that's in every issue since 2013.
Oh,
So
I think that's exciting.
So that was an accident, a totally accidental.
Now, something that I made a note of,
Okay.
and because I was telling you earlier, I have not finished the book on
Yes.
purpose, because I wanted to do this interview first and have that be my reward. But I love that the chapters have names.
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore.
I don't know how that happened. They just came to me. The second book, I haven't done that. I don't know if I could repeat because they were so good. I don't know if I could do it again, but they just came to me. I mean, this is okay. This is what this is going to be about, and this chapter's what that's going to be about. And I just kept going, and it seemed to work out.
Well, and it's funny because it's a writing instrument, I guess.
Yeah.
Or not a pen, but
Right.
a writing style that I didn't realize how much I'd missed it till I saw it in your book.
Oh, thank you.
And
I'm
I
glad
thought,
you noticed
oh, and as someone who's done theater, of course, one of the things they teach you is they say, what's the name of the play? Because you can name a play anything.
That's right.
A Streetcar Named Desire could be Crazy Southern Woman. But it's named a Streetcar Named Desire so that you
Get an idea of what the movie's about,
right,
or the play,
or
the
what,
original
what
play.
story they're trying to tell.
Right.
And so looking at the chapter titles and thinking, okay,
Like, don't break the meatballs. Did you?
right, exactly. The notion of, okay, it cues you to pay attention to things that later become important.
I never thought of it that way. I just had this idea. Well, thank you.
Well-
That's two things you've inspired me about today.
Oh, well,
My next book and chapter titles. Thank you very much.
oh, you are more than welcome, because now I'm on the edge of my seat now for
Oh, that's
number
good.
2, for book number 2, and then so how long did it take?
Oh my gosh, it took long because I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. My first draft I thought was good, and then I joined a writers group, the Freedom Writers Group that meets at the Freedom Library in Ocala.
Oh.
And when I finished my first draft and I gave it to one of the group leaders who volunteered to read it, they read the first chapter and they gave it back to me. And they said, Mary Ellen, you got to fix this. It was just, because I never really studied writing. I never, like I had said before, I never wanted to be a writer, so I was just winging it. And I had to learn the nuts and bolts of writing, so to speak. I mean, I was using cliches left and right, and then they said, no, you're the cliche queen, but you don't use those in the narrative. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, I had to learn all that. So it took about 8 years to get it written.
Wow,
Yeah. A lot of rewriting, a lot of editing, and then it got put on the back burner when my late husband became ill and passed, and I didn't do anything with it for the longest time. And then I met my wonderful husband, And
I never met the first one, but I'm rather fond of your second one.
he is pretty
You've
good.
got good taste, clearly.
I'm telling you, God is good. He sent me 2 good ones. And I said to him, I wrote a book. And you want to hear some of the chapters? So I started to read them out loud to him. He says, you got to get that published. Long story short, through a friend of a friend, I found my publisher, and he encouraged me to publish it and help me out a little bit with some of the costs, And then that's how it came about. So it took about 8 years to write and another 2 or 3 years to get it going. But the second one, I hope, will not take that long.
Well, and then there's the part of authorship that people who don't aspire to that miss, which is all the business of writing.
Yes. They say, okay, so this book just came out. Well, it didn't just happen overnight. It came out after years and years of work and polishing and editing and marketing and all that,
So do you look back now on your favorite authors and with a new...
Well, yeah, a new respect, except for Stephen King. He's just so good.
And apparently writes in his sleep.
Yeah. It's effortless.
Wouldn't that be wonderful to have 2 or 3 pseudonyms to cover everything that you want to write?
Right. But actually, who really inspired me to write? I mean, my writing voice, my writing style, that just came out. It's a little, snarky, a little, tongue-in-cheek, a lot of humor. I like to write with humor. Was Janet Ivanovich. I don't know if you've ever read anything by her. The Stephanie Plum series.
I have not.
Oh, you'd like her, and she kind of inspired me, because I always thought writing had to be like very cerebral. You had to be a genius. You had to be smart. And not that they're not smart, but it had to be something that you learned from. And I just never looked at myself that way. But reading her books, I'm sure I know they took work, of course, but they were more fun than work to read. I said, I want to write a book like that. So my book is a fun, fast read. I wanted to entertain people. I want to make people laugh and make people think. In fact, Joe's wife, Kathy, edited for me, and she said, Muriel, your book made me cry. And I said, I'm sorry, Kathy, but I'm glad I was able to.
Well, let's just say, and that's another thing, too, that I noticed that I loved about your book. All of your characters are you do feel as if you could know them.
That's what some of the reviews have said. I feel like I'm part of the family.
Yeah, if I saw him, if I saw Mac, and if he walked in here, I'd be like, oh yeah,
him.
Come over.
That's
come
him.
Tell us what's going on. But also the beginning of the book, to start, it was very, you say it's not cerebral, but I'm going to tell you that to start with the wedding is off.
Yeah, first sentence.
And then you go through that, and then he wakes up the next day and goes back to how they got to the wedding is off.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
When we think back on the worst things that ever happened to us, we think of the moment the worst thing happened.
Right.
And then we spend the rest of our lives
figuring out how
going
did that
back,
happen?
trying to measure to the moment.
Well, funny thing is, it wasn't like that when I first wrote it. I think I had it reversed. I had the backstory first, leading up to, and then the wedding is off. And I thought about it, and I said, I don't know. Everybody says you got to start the book. The first sentence, the first paragraph has to grab a reader. And I says, I'm going to start at the train wreck. And I said, that's it. The inciting incident that makes the whole book possible is the wedding. So I said, I'm just going to start with the wedding is off. That's it. That's how it's going to start, and it'll grab people, let them want to read and see what happens as she leaves, he leaves, and all the things happen, and then go back, like you just said, with the backstory. Feed it a little bit at a time, not all at once, because sometimes they say too much backstory is no good.
But see, what I loved about how you did that was that I already liked him. By the time, when getting pulled over by the police, you guys have to buy this book. If that has not inspired you, now getting the tidbits of it, that all the things he went through in just the first 5 pages.
Oh yeah.
By the time he went back to the beginning of the evening, I'm like, oh, this guy.
This poor guy. You got to feel sorry for him.
Right.
He doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
He has no idea why she broke the engagement.
And then I've told you that, of course, I identified with the less attractive sister, younger sister, the younger sister of two very attractive sisters.
Yeah.
And of course, I say all the time, I was the fat girl that didn't get asked to the prom.
Aw. Don't feel bad. I didn't go to mine either.
Well, see, so I get Marie,
Yeah. But she's sharp. I like Marie. She's cool.
and I like that about her too.
Yeah. You identify with that, yes.
Well,
I
so what's
understand.
your advice for aspiring writers?
Just do it. Just do it. Don't. A lot of people think it has to be perfect the first time they write. In fact, there was a lady in the writers group who says, I'm afraid to write. How do I get to be a better writer? And I kind of looked at her and I said, please forgive me. I'm not trying to be, a wise guy, but you got to write. You have to practice, and the first draft is going to be junk. I mean, it's. Somebody once said the first draft is like throwing up, and then as you edit, you clean it up later, and that's how you polish up your book. And it's true. Just write it. Whatever it is, write it. It's not going to be good the first time around. It's guaranteed it's not. But you got to start with something and just do it. And then you go back and you edit. It took a while for me to get this book into a condition where I felt that it was I wouldn't embarrass myself by sending it to agents or to a publisher. But just write. I would just tell people, just do it.
And how did you find your publisher?
A friend from Facebook. Her name is Valentina Janek, and I'm from Long Island, New York, and so is she. And she wrote a book called From Fire to Freedom. And we started talking, and she says, well, why don't you go to my publisher, Red Penguin Books? And I said, all right, how did it go with them? She says, oh, they're wonderful, they're this, they're that, and they're great. So I looked them up, and I called up, well, I contacted one of their other authors who I didn't know and she didn't know me. And I said, how was your experience with Red Penguin? And they said, very positive. It was very good. And then I called them up, and this place was wonderful. I mean, they're a hybrid publisher, which means they do some of the heavy lifting, which means I don't know how to design a book cover. I don't know how to do formatting. I mean, I could edit, but not within their programs. There's a lot that they do. So you do pay a fee, but you get a lot for your money. In fact, 2 years after the book has been published, I can still call them up and say, can you send me this file? Can you send me that file? Or can you help me with the book trailer? And we're Facebook friends. And
So they don't let you go.
They don't just drop you. They're not just. They don't just put your book through an editing program, and then you're done. No, they stay with you. I mean, we're friends now. I mean, I've invited them to my house. I'd go see them too up in New York if I ever go. Nice people, and they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and I think when I look at these two covers, this was the first cover, the Love Letter Ghost, and what happened was people kept asking me in book clubs, do you have book club questions? And I says, well, no, I never thought of that. So I talked to them, my publisher, and I said, listen, people are asking for this. I said, can I republish? She said, yes, but you have to have a different cover, and it has to be at least 10 more pages to make it another book. So that's what we did. Here is the Love Letter Ghost book club edition with book club questions. If you saw these, you'd like them. If you like my chapter names with a little commentary, and we republished with this cover and the book club questions. It's the same story, with just a little bit extra that people are asking for. And they're very good to work with. I would recommend them to anybody.
Well, since we're spilling the tea, how did a girl from Long Island make it here to Florida?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been in Ocala 34 years. And it was just, again, another accident. My brother.
Well, since you're only 46, you moved when you were a child.
Oh, yes. So I've had plenty of time to acclimate, Yes. It was a very easy transition for me. With this gray hair. My brother and his ex-wife, actually, moved down here. He's a retired Nassau County police officer. He was injured on the job, so he had a disability, and he wanted to leave Long Island. And I was very close with him. So he came down in 1987, and I was still in New York. And after a while, I kind of missed him. And I know nothing much was going on up in New York. The winters were getting colder, and I said, all right, I'm going to just make the transition. I'm going to make the leap. And I was still renting an apartment, so I didn't have a house. I really didn't have roots aside from some family. And so I came down here too, to be close to my niece and nephews and my brother. And that's the rest is history.
And you bloomed where you were planted, literally.
Oh, well, it took a while.
In terms of the garden contest.
That's right. Yeah. And I don't do it I don't garden anymore, but I have a couple of potted plants, but I have to be thankful for the garden.
Well, you plant other kinds of seeds.
There you go. Yeah. And what the good thing about that piece was they put me on the cover.
I've seen the cover.
You've seen the cover, right. And this issue, the May-June issue that's coming out, I'm on the cover again.
Well, and that
You
gets
got to
us...
look for that, yeah.
And that gets us to how do we find you?
How do we find me? Okay, let me see. My webpage, you can go to my webpage, which is, oh my goodness, it's new, so I'm not sure. I think it's mesaladinoauthor.com.
I think you're right, actually.
Okay, and...
Because I looked for you this morning again.
All right, good. Yeah, so you can go to my webpage there, and I'm on Facebook. Again, oh, geez, I should have had all this stuff written down for you.
That's okay. Joe will find it for us.
Yeah. I'm on Facebook. You can go to my webpage, and right now that's about it. I have a newsletter, but that's in process. That'll be coming out soon. And
well, and I can say if you look at Red Penguin Publishers, Mary Ellen Saladino, or M.E. Saladino, they've got a lovely setup for the book.
They do.
With a little video, and they will let you buy it there.
Yeah. You can buy it there. You can buy it Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, Kobo, and Apple. Amazon, I've got a problem with Amazon. It's there, and the pictures on the listing of both book covers are there, but if you click on them, it takes you to a different book, and the reviews I have are for a different book, so I don't tell people to go to Amazon right now until they straighten it out. So,
well, and Mr. Bezos doesn't need the money.
Oh, yeah, he's not worried
Let's
about
keep the Barnes & Nobles open.
Yes. Buy it at Barnes & Noble and leave a review. That's very, very important. I know I've sold a couple of hundred books already, but the reviews, and that's okay. I understand people are busy. They read the book and they enjoy it and everything, and they don't think about it. But if anybody out there that reads it after this, please leave a review.
Well, this is my philosophy for what it's worth, and having been in customer service most of my life, that somebody has a terrible experience. Somebody doesn't like a book, and they can't get to the web page fast enough to write a critique of all the reasons that it's awful.
Say how bad.
But they love a book, and they sit back and they get dreamy, and they think for a minute, and then they say, I'll go leave a review. This was wonderful. And then, a couple hours go by and they eat something, they fall asleep, and then a month has gone by.
And by then it's out of their heads. And they read their next book, and that's the end of it. But I understand that.
So keep the balance is my advice.
If you like it.
If you like it, say so. Do the rest of us a favor.
Yeah, it means a lot. It really does. It really does mean a lot.
Well, can we do this for another 3 or 4 hours, or 10 more times before the year is up?
A cup of coffee, please. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and we should say that we're this is where we met for the first time.
That's
the Juniper
right.
General
That's right.
Store up on 27.
Right.
And it's a lovely, very comfortable, homey place.
That has graciously allowed us to do this in their little cubby, this little area here, and we appreciate that very much.
And you can catch me here usually every Wednesday, and Mary Ellen knows that, so I'm hoping she'll catch me here every Wednesday too, because who knows how many more ideas I'll have.
I have to find out how you like the ending.
Absolutely.
I have to see you again.
And we may have to shoot that later and add it to the episode. My impression of the ending.
Oh yeah. That was my favorite part.
Well, and I have to thank you too, because, long story short, we won't go into my life story, but my traumatic brain injury made learning to read for long periods of time an effort, and this was effortless.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be something you could read on a plane ride or at the beach, but a fun, fast, where you don't have to think, like, what did she mean by that? And what does that word mean?
It has given me back reading.
Good. good. Oh,
And
thank you, thank you.
so thank you for that.
That means a lot.
And
Oh.
thanks for sitting down with us here at
Oh,
Spill
my
the Tea.
pleasure, my pleasure.
I think that tea's been spilled.
Oh, yeah.
Now
yeah.
maybe I'll have some coffee.
Yeah.
That's what they say, you know, I may not be your cup of tea, but that's okay because I like coffee.
Very good, very good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. My pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
You know?